welcome to a Talking About special. This is another. There's a lot of specials. So how special are they? Who knows? We are talking about, ever so promptly, the trailer, the new trailer. We don't mean the Coca-Cola one that comes to Christmas. We mean the one that was on after Strictly on Christmas Day. Ooh, ooh. That was just sort of about half-hearted enough, I think that was, wasn't it? It's just the one of you who win.
Well, I oohed as well, but the camera didn't come to me, so...
That's very rare.
I know. I wonder if the addition of an extra special person on the recording is meaning that the camera doesn't come to me as much.
Maybe that's true. Maybe that's true.
Yay! Ben's with us.
Yeah, Jason, that would be it. I think Ben is controlling the camera coming back away from me. I think that's what it is.
I'm loving that. It takes all the responsibility off me having the camera, which I kind of like.
So go on then. One of you must have thought something about Doctor Who and the trailer on Christmas Day, having survived Strictly.
Well, surviving Strictly, absolutely. And after Bruno Tonioli's song there during the Christmas Strictly, I have to say that the trailer was an absolute delight to have afterwards. And it was quite funny, actually, because there was all this debate on the Twitter as to when this actual trailer was going to drop. And even though they'd announced it was going to drop after Strictly, everybody was like, oh, will it be after The King? Will it be after this? Will it be after that? So it eventually arrives. And I've got to say, a nice, quick snapshot of, I think, some really interesting stuff in there. And really quite excited, I think, for what these specials for the 60th are going to bring for us. It brought us some confirmation of some of the rumored people who will be involved in it. But yeah, lovely to see, and obviously starting to give us that little bit of a brief introduction to the character of Rose.
I think the best bit was that people were going off on sort of all these conspiracy theories that there was going to be a special episode was going to suddenly pop up on BBC iPlayer. I mean, Twitter was like going berserk over lots of different fan theories of things that were going to happen, that they were going to suddenly play an episode of Doctor Who on Christmas Day. I'm surprised that Russell didn't get the King to mention it in his speech, being the publicity person that he is. But I think, I think what a great day to launch a trailer, because obviously there was no Doctor Who on over the festive period, and I think I agree with you, Jason. A proper trailer, and what I mean by that, and I have been on these recordings before criticizing Chibnall about how he doesn't really advertise. He never really advertised Doctor Who, but this felt like a proper Doctor Who trailer that made you excited at what was coming. So yeah, not bad for a minute and 15 seconds, I think you said, Ben.
Yeah, it certainly threw a lot of stuff in there, a lot of fan favorite stuff we were able to see, like Beep the Meep. Not everyone knows about these things, though, of course, because obviously that was very much animation, cartoon, that sort of thing, the comic strip. So it's not necessarily, the general audience would think, what is that? Well, Beat the Meat, we're saying, hopefully, that is it. The same with Neil Patrick Harris. Who is he? Is he the toy maker? Is he not? We don't know. We know from the trailer that he has a German accent, worldwide premiere. So, or is that just him doing his lieutenant from Hello Hello?
I thought we'd drifted into an episode of Hello Hello there for a moment.
It's got a whiff of Jim Broadbent and Paddington, hasn't it, I think? It's a hint of, he could just be doing the accent for that particular scene. He might even have that all the time. The Beep the Meep thing, if it be true, I mean, it looks very likely because the insect things are all, it's all. I think it's interesting insofar as if you do something like that, you can do it, and I'm fully willing to believe it's clever enough. If you don't have to have read the comics, if you just watch that and it's your Mandalorian cute little creature that you can market,
Yeah.
it's fine. Because as long as you're not on Saturday night, and I don't think Russell for 1 second is going to be writing a Doctor Who where you've got to sit down before and go, so I've read all of the 80s Doctor Who magazine comics strips with him in, and I've read the, he's not going to be writing it like that. But if you are a Doctor Who fan who is of a certain age and read the comics, I've never read the comics. I've always found that the flick past bit in Doctor Who magazine. If you read them and loved that, then it's a really big reward to go, oh, I know this character, I know who this is. Whereas if you don't, I think it should be quite a fun thing.
And I think here's my take on it. I don't think that the entire first special is actually centralized around the Wrath Warriors and Beep. I think what you've got here is it feels a little bit like we're drawing into some of the past history for the 60th, which would make an awful lot of sense. And you don't know if the character that Neil Patrick Harris is playing is actually manipulating all of this in some way. And that's kind of my take, is that almost the regeneration is it's almost stopped, or it's somehow paused, or something's happening here that's stopping the regeneration fully into the next Doctor. And somehow time or what's going on around it is all being manipulated. And that's where all these elements potentially, we don't know what's in some of the other specials. We've only had this little trailer, but it feels like we're going to have lots of little nice bits and pieces that will draw from the past, but won't necessarily require the modern viewer who isn't as familiar with that past to be absolutely up to speed with it.
But there's no saying, though, that the clips in the trailer are all from the same special, aren't they? They could all be from different elements of different stories. There's no linking. I remember there was that kind of funny thing with the Series 2. Do you remember the Series 2 trailer? And it had a shot from Tooth and Claw of the Doctor saying, "Bullets can't stop it," about the werewolf, that cut to the Cybermen. And then there was a Pete Wallbank art print called "Bullets Won't Stop Them," because they just sort of assumed that was, So I think we're back to trailers being quite clever and using things to excite you and to draw you in, as opposed to just being a couple of scenes that they've shot last week and that's all they've got to show for their homework.
I think, they haven't sort of said whether it's a trilogy where all 3 episodes are linked and you'll get a cliffhanger in between each one, or whether there are 3 separate stories but with an overriding arch, which is something that Russell's done previously. I think the reintroduction of Donna, and you've got, previously that Donna couldn't see the Doctor, otherwise she would die unless there was hundreds of masters around, in which case she would blast out regeneration energy. But let's not go there. But I mean, there's that you've got to see Donna's mum, Donna's husband, in the clip. So there's the whole thing around the Doctor saying coincidence is surrounding Donna, which was a theme previously. He said coincidence was surrounding her and Wilf as well. So I think it's nice that you've got some familiarity there around some of the things that have happened before. But like you say, I think it's a very clever trailer, because there's so much you don't see, because I can't imagine these are going to be the only sort of aliens or villains that we're going to see through these 3 episodes. So we're getting tantalizing sort of tidbits of, here's this scene, but I think we're in for a lot more than we're seeing at the moment. But it is.
You'd hope so, because it's only 1 minute and 15 that we've seen.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just saying. I'm building the anticipation for the new. I want these. The latest rumor I've read actually just the other day is that somebody now reckons that these episodes will literally be stacked one after the other, 23rd, 24th, 25th of November. And then the Christmas special comes in on Christmas. I don't buy that. I think that would be a wrong way to put this out.
You want the Christmas episode sort of Easter?
No, but I think what you could do is build towards that and space them out a little bit. I was never a big fan when Torchwood stripped itself across 5 nights for one story. It's all just a little bit too much and a bit overkill. So I do hope they don't have this one night after the other to get the 3 specials done and dusted in that sort of 3 days. I think it's just a little bit too much.
It does just say November at the moment, doesn't it? There's no...
I think that's the way the world goes now, isn't it? A lot of drama now is consecutive nights, a whole lot on iPlayer straight away, bam, have it how you want it. You can either watch it nightly or you can do the whole lot. Because I suppose in some ways that's what the BBC have got to contend with now with Netflix and stuff, is that a lot of it is just, that's your lot, watch it when you want to watch it. And I suppose they've got to sort of slightly fit in with that model. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Doctor Who fans love a guest on Twitter, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's 3 consecutive nights, because that would sort of make sense as to how they build these things. I mean, I saw them at Twitter saying that they were going to do a missing episode reveal on Call the Midwife. Do you remember? They were like, she's going to be watching Marco Polo when she puts the telly on Christmas Day. She's going to be watching Marco Polo. And then it was the Aztecs. It was like, they didn't announce a missing episode during Call the Midwife. Who knew? Who knew?
But the whole thing, I had to laugh at that though, because again, I know you've said it, James, but that whole, they're going to pull the wheel off that's been scheduled in all the Christmas books all the way through this, and they are literally going to drop an hour of brand new Doctor Who without any trail, without any advertising, without anything else, and there it is, there it's going to be, and people believed it.
Well, the other thing, of course, about, as you say, Paul, how they might put them one after the other and then literally upload on iPlayer and so forth. Because the problem, what we have to deal with nowadays is spoilers. Because so many people, you read so many things on Twitter, you have to try and stay off it as episodes are coming up, because there's going to be some idiot who's just going to go, like this. And you think, oh, great, I wanted to watch that and be surprised rather than knowing what's going to come up. So I think that's the other problem you get a lot of the time nowadays with spoilers, trying to avoid them, and that's why they're trying to put the stuff up as quickly as they can.
I know a few people got a bit ratty over Power of the Doctor. They're like, oh, I can't believe that people are saying William Russell's back. And it's like, kind of like, yeah, but when something's a kind of special episode or whatever, you kind of, if you're on there, you've got to know not to do it. I mean, if I'm watching any sort of thing where there's a result, or I mean, strictly what that sort of show, you can't just check Twitter, because someone will say, I can't believe so and so was voted off tonight, and you'd be like, oh, it's got to sit through an hour to get to that point. So I think spoilers are sort of that kind of thing now, aren't they? It's unless you do a complete blackout on these things, you can't avoid it. I think is it slightly different when people do on-set spoilers? I know a guest star has been leaked today on Twitter, because people have seen pictures and the filming and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, presumably, you've got to slightly respect the production team knowing when they want to set certain things out. But you always, Doctor Who, I think at its core, the fandom, there's a lot of people who thrive on the power of knowledge. Like, I know a thing about episode 2. I'm not going to tell you, but when you see it, you'll know it's so good. It's so, I can't tell you what it is, but that thing, and it's like, and people really, they get a fist pump of that sort of stuff, and it's fine, but I think that sort of ties in with the whole sort of spoiler culture with it, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, it does. And the thing is that I mean, I was lucky enough to pop down, because it's not far from where I live, where they were filming at Camden Markets, filming some of these episodes. And when I went down there, when I just happened to, I was just wandering around, just seeing what was going on, and I happened to be there when Donna's mum and Donna's husband and Yasmin, who I didn't know at the time was the new companion for that one, they all arrived, and I just took some pictures on my phone, and then friends of mine were saying, "Oh, put it up on Twitter, you know." And I was like, "No, I don't want to do that, because then it's just like it's going to be like, oh look, you know, da da da." Because at that point, no one knew that this is, you know, they knew obviously like, you know, Tennant was coming out, Don was coming, but they didn't really know much else. So that's the thing. I mean, I hate it myself. I don't want to be the one who then goes and does that, because then it'll be like, you know, even if you put spoiler in the in the title or something when you upload it, but there's always going to be someone who then looks down and goes, oh, you know, why did you have to put that up now, blah blah blah, you know. And yeah, save yourself hassle.
I mean, there will be. Oh, go on.
I'm not saying there was the one from Stolen Earth, wasn't there, where it was a recording break, and the shadow architects had got their wigs, and someone leaked it saying the Dravins were back. Looking for the patterns.
And I think it's quite clever. I was going to say, I think it's quite clever, actually, because they've put Neil Patrick Harris out into plain sight, and the shop is called what the shop is called. And everybody has jumped immediately onto the fact that it's the toy maker off the back of this. We don't have that to know. We don't know that that's a thing. Would they have openly have displayed such a what could be a spoiler in such plain sight? You know, you've got to wonder whether that's real, whether that's not right. And obviously we won't know till it's broadcast, but is it the toy maker? Isn't it the toy maker?
I'm still looking for my set pictures of Quarks. Not happened yet. But
if the Meep can come back and the Celestial Toy Maker, I do not think the Quarks are off that table.
I genuinely don't think they are either. They'll be in the all studio one that was the second episode.
I keep writing. Dear Mr. Russell T. Davies.
Don't write into the office. Just ask Jason to put a word with Russ.
I'll put the word in. Don't you worry. I'll be all over it.
Russ.
We just don't know if Quarks are going to make an appearance or not, though, do we? And that's the beauty of it. Because such a lot of it, I think it's nice, actually, because the secrecy element of it is back here. But it's not back in such a way that it's spoiling the marketing, because this was where Chibnall went wrong. He was so paranoid about anything leaking off the set of any of those stories that he was in, that it became so insular and so closed in on itself that we as fans didn't get any information. He wouldn't talk to DWM. You know, there was all this sort of blackout, if you like, of any information. The one thing I will say that has been right with this is we are building. We're a year off. We're just under a year off this actually being a reality. But the marketing campaign is just building and stacking all the way through this. And I just imagine come March, come June, we'll have more information. It'll be more fed out to us. We'll have, you know, I think they'll control the information. They won't just allow the spoilers to be leaked off the back of, you know, snapshots out of the back of filming, a bit like it has been in the past. We're going to have some of this information. And I think Russell will control the marketing in a much, much better way than has been held historically by the BBC or by Chris Chibnall.
Didn't he say that he was going to release the first episode title in a future Doctor Who magazine? I'm sure he said something about it. The first episode is 8 words. The title is 8 words long, and it was going to be revealed in Doctor Who magazine. So I think
they must be thrilled because Chibnall wouldn't give them anything until after it had been broadcast, by which point everyone had seen it and nobody cared. I mean, traditionally, it was always the run-up, wouldn't it, that you'd have season 1 or whatever, 13 episodes, and you'd have the titles for some, the directors for some, the writers, and you'd sort of piece it, and it would gradually just come out, and there would be enough for you to talk about, enough for you to speculate about, and then you'd have some more information, and it would just keep the interest going. I mean, to an extent, I'm not quite sure what they could have teased us with for, you know, Eve of the Daleks or Legend of the Cedars. I don't know quite what exciting tidbits they could have, because they were so flat as productions. Whereas there's so many elements to this that intrigue, and so many. I mean, it's 1:15, but you've got so many plot. You've got Meep, you've got the soldier, you've got the toy maker, you've got Donna. How does that fit into things? Donna's family setup. You've got the new Rose character. You've got Doctor Who. You've got the two Doctor Who. It's just like all this sort of stuff. There is more in that than we've had for so long, and it's interesting. The one thing I think is interesting that isn't in the trailer is there was no Bernard Cribbins in the trailer actually.
Yeah,
Which obviously is a conscious decision. I don't think they've just gone in the edit and thought, hang on, is Bernie in this? But it's interesting that he wasn't in the trailer.
I don't think they were able to. Unfortunately, I've heard that I don't think they were able to film a whole lot of it before he passed away. So so maybe there's not. Well, as you say, maybe either they're saving it, or maybe there's just not a lot that they consider is usable. Because I suppose also in the trailer, unless it's something that's sort of quick and punchy, then they want to use that, don't they? So yeah.
The other thing that's noticeably absent from the trailer as well is any kind of reference to what interior to the TARDIS that we'll also have as well. And of course, again, if you are a follower of the social media, the Twitter in particular is awash with some leaked set photos of the new potentially the new console room. But the comic strip at the moment would currently lead us to believe that
it's still Jodie's, isn't it? In the comic strip,
it's still in. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything particularly though, because that could change within a second after the comic strip finishes and the new one starts. So I think there's more in this interior console room thing that could actually come to fruition. So again, I wonder whether that changes earlier in the occasion, whether that changes later, we just don't know. But I think again, there's more to be revealed here for sure.
I'd like a photo blow up wall.
Well,
back in the TARDIS. We've lacked that for a long time now. Yeah, just a nice big photo blow, maybe with a bit of sort of fraying at the bottom where it's been pulled in and out of storage in between.
Yeah. A good crease down the one side as well, just to really drive it home.
And the giant hangy thing that they ditched early doors, the hangy hairdryer light thing. I think we need that back. Oh, and time once we have the washing bowl bucket roundels. I hope they bring all of these back because it's the 60th anniversary and it's what the crowd want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Potentially there's 3 hours here, isn't there? If you think that they're all going to be an hour long for the 3 specials.
Oh, you meant this video? I was like, oh please.
Well, no, I mean we're on for a record here. No, I'm kidding. But if you think about it, we've had 1 minute and 15. There's 3 hours there. I think there's a hell of a story to be told. It's starting to feel like whatever we get for the 60th in these 3 specials, it feels like already it's going to be epic. There's an anticipation level here that we'd watch a trailer for a Jodie story and we'd be like, okay, we've got high hopes. We'd like it to be something great. Flux had some great thing. Eva the Daleks. If we'd had a trailer that was 1 minute and 15 seconds for the Sea Devils one, we'd have pretty much have had the entire episode virtually. So I kind of think there's a lot more anticipation in the build here, and I've got to say, marketing wise, it's brilliant already the way this is being handled. And again, I've got great anticipation for what the 60th specials hold for us.
Nice to see Carl Collins back in it. I hope he gets a bit more to do this time because he's a great actor, and I think his last appearances in it were a bit kind of, he was there, but they didn't put a lot into his character. So I'm hoping, because there's a bit more of a setup there this time, that's going to be addressed a bit more.
Great.
Okay. Carrying the torch there for Carl. Come on. Do you have any other thoughts, ladies? No. Look at them. They're fading fast. They're like, did you watch the Christmas Wheel afterwards? Did you watch it? Oh, couldn't shut up, could he? Couldn't shut up, that man. Every time there's a song, he's like, is that Michael, babes? This ain't your show.
I mean, I wish we'd had the whole drop of the entire episode instead of the wheel, but there you go.
When there's a Doctor Who wheel special, we'll be here for that.
All over it. We'll do a series of talking about for it.
Well, wait till we do the reaction for the Doctor Who Weakest Link.
Oh.
It's a great episode. Camille wins that. She's like a Brain of Britain or something.
Brilliant.
Spoilers!
It was on telly.
It was years ago.
I know, but we've not reviewed it yet.
Oh God. I'm sure we've got plenty to go through before we get to that.
Talking about the weakest link special. Anyway, well, I think it's probably exciting more than Doctor Who's excited me in quite a long time. I think it was just that thing of just watching a trailer and going, oh, crikey, this is what it looks like when it's done properly. It's amazing. I literally stand by. I completely stand by that. And it is only a trailer, but you can just see there's an attitude. It's almost like it's almost like a sort of a job interview situation. If you had a trailer from Chibnall or a trailer from Russell, you go, this candidate looks like they've read it out, but they aren't qualified for it. This person knows what they're doing. This is who we need in charge. It is literally as straightforward as that.
It's given me the same kind of buzz as the season 4 trailer, which, season 1 was all, it was the snapshot of Billy and Chris and talking about her running away. The season 4 trailers were brilliant, and they did sort of slight sort of nods to Daleks and Sontarans and things, but I loved those trailers. They really sort of built up the anticipation for the season, and I think that is where we're at now, is that excitement building, sort of, this is what's coming and you're going to love it.
But it's 11 months out, and that's the difference. We'd be getting this a month out if it was the previous regime. And I think that's the difference. We are getting teased very early, and there is a lot more of this to come. And this is all going to be backed up with strong marketing principles. And I think that's exactly as it should be for for any flagship show, particularly when you consider, obviously we've also got to consider the Disney sort of worldwide element of it as well. And, they're going to want to see the profile of the program raised up as well. And they will also add to that raising of the profile of the program. So this is only a good news story all round for me, as for the 60th and beyond for Doctor Who.
Well, I look forward to a good long tease in the coming months.
We'll be there every step of the way.
Oh yeah.
Not sure about that. Okay. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Pleasure as always. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun. See you soon.